Hello there everyone and welcome back. This is Sashi and this is another ranking video. Today I'll be ranking all 31 mecha that you can see here. I ordered them in the order of release. And of course it's a tier video, so it's a ranking video. So these are my opinions and they might differ from your experiences. So leave comments below if you agree or disagree and tell me why. And let's keep it civil. Let's engage in civil discussion together. Very curious about your thoughts. I've been playing since season 10 and here I will show some stats over the past 2 seasons. Basically my highest ranking was Diamond 14 stars. That was last season. And this season was a little bit less because I've been busy with other things. And today I also want to do something slightly different. As you can see here, I got the rankings. And first of all, I want to say all of these mecha are awesome. They play really nicely. They have unique play styles. They're all very skill heavy. And I would say they're all very close to each other. And above all else, every mecha can defeat any other mecha. There are some differences in a variety of features, and what I want to do today is I want to basically reflect on each of these mecha based on 3 categories. And what I prepared is I want to grade them on their mobility, their skill ceiling, so the better the player, how good can you get with this mecha basically. So what kind of outplay potential do you have against your enemies, and its versatility. So how versatile is the mecha across different ranges. So some mecha are good across all ranges. Some are better at longer ranges, some are better at short ranges, some are useless at long ranges, and vice versa. So those 3 parts I want to be grading here, and each part will give points. They will either get 1, 2, 3 or 4 points. I will show a little bit here also. Just for clarification, if it has low mobility, it will get 1 point. If it has medium mobility, it will get 2 points. High mobility, 3 points, and amazing mobility, it will get 4 points, resulting into these points here, the point allocations. So if a mecha would score a 1, so low mobility, low skill ceiling and low versatility, it will end up with 3 points. But also when it ends up with 5 points, it will also be in a C ranking. I'm actually expecting not too many mecha to fall in this category. Most of them will fall between A and B. And I do think the game is in pretty healthy state, so there's quite some that are gonna end up here in the S rank, which requires a near perfect score, so 11 or 12 points, meaning that you have to score twice an amazing and once a high. So let's just go into it and see where we get. Also, I'm doing this to try to maintain a shorter video because I tend to go in depth too much maybe. If you have questions, just feel free to ask and I will clarify further in the comments. So starting off with Firefox. Firefox, I will just start by placing it here because I don't know where it will be yet. But on mobility, I would say it has medium mobility. It has a decent jump, but it doesn't have any vertical mobility. Skill ceiling, if your aim is good, I think this one gets really powerful, so I would say amazing, so that already leads up to 6 points. And versatility, Firefox works in all ranges. The secondary weapon gets a little bit more difficult to hit on longer range, but still I would say it's amazing, so that it's 4 plus 4 plus 2, so it gets 10 points. Firefox ends up in the A rank. Moving on to Arthur. I will place Arthur next to Firefox for now. Arthur, I think, has an amazing mobility, 4 points. Skill ceiling, amazing. The better the player, the better Arthur gets, because you can be anywhere, just all over the place, while keep blasting with those swords, and at close range you just obliterate people. I would say also the versatility is amazing. So 4 points all across, 12 points for Arthur, because I think Arthur is one of those mecha that if you put the practice in there, it's hypermobile, works on all ranges. Amazing mecha. Don't underestimate an Arthur, ever. And it's pretty beefy actually. It's like 31 hit points, I think. And it has ways of increasing its beefiness through mods. Then moving on to Caramel, I'm also expecting Caramel to be up there somewhere. So mobility, amazing. It can get anywhere with its jump ability. Skill ceiling, I would also say amazing, because if you can alternate the primary weapon with the secondary and the jumping around, falling on people's face, and then also using your tank mode for sniping, it works on all ranges. It's amazing. You can get in all places, and the versatility is also already mentioned with that. So Caramel also gets 4 points all across, 12 in total. Skylark I'm expecting here. So mobility, I would say medium. So Skylark is pretty fast. It has a decently high jumping ability, but it struggles to get on top of roofs, similar to Firefox. Versatility is pretty good though, I would say high. So that's 2 plus 3 is 5. Because it can work on all ranges. Actually, I would say Skylark might have an amazing versatility, because it works in all ranges, no exceptions. So that makes it 2 for mobility, medium, versatility 4, so that's 6, and skill ceiling, yeah, the better you aim, the better it gets, especially if you manage to hit all your secondaries. You can just have very good sustain and gliding all over the place, so also 4, so that gives it 4 plus 4 plus 2 is 10, same score as Firefox. I think they do belong there. Very good mecha, but they have the limitations, mainly in their mobility. Moving on to Hotsteel, also expecting it here. Hotsteel has an amazing mobility. It can get anywhere. It's surprisingly fast for its size. Skill ceiling is also, I think, amazing. The better the player, if you manage to lead your targets, this mecha becomes a monster, evading everyone, obliterating them in close range and medium range. If you're a good player, you can even nuke people on long range. But I think this mecha shines in the medium and in the short range, making its versatility, I would say, medium. So then it's also 2 amazings and 1 medium, making it 10 in total, placing it here next to these other 2. Moving on to Andromeda, I'm expecting this mecha up there. So let's see. Mobility, amazing. Can fly, literally. Compared to these, this is the only one that can fly. There's only few that can fly actually, not just hover. Fly to all places at incredible speeds also, especially if you take that mod, which I always do. And especially combined with Wing of Swiftness for Mobius. Amazing mecha. So definitely amazing mobility. Skill ceiling, yeah, if you hit all your targets and manage to dodge the right attacks at the right times, this mecha is uncatchable. You can hover, you can jump, you can drop yourself while shooting, and the DPS is high. Versatility, also amazing. You can shoot on all ranges. I think Andromeda is one of the strongest mecha in the entire game. It is a bit more difficult because it's squishy. You have to be using your mobility, and you have to be, of all these mecha, you have to manage your fuel more carefully. But if you get that under the knee, and that's why the skill ceiling is so high, if you do manage to do that all successfully, this mecha becomes like a monster. Moving on to Gabriel, I'm expecting it here or here. Let's start here. Mobility is pretty good. I would say it has high mobility because with the teleportation you can get almost anywhere. has a relatively long cooldown though. And the jump is alright. So I would say high mobility. Skill ceiling, yeah. Gabriel of all these mecha has, I think, the highest damage potential within the shortest amount of time. If you manage to combine all your scope, no scope shots, I think it's similar to Snow Mirage and Pulsar in the damage potential, in the DPS potential, I mean. I would say skill ceiling is amazing, yeah, because you can just obliterate people. So that's 4 points for skill ceiling, 3 for mobility, and versatility I think is low, because this mecha on long range is amazing, medium range is pretty good, but on short range it really falls off. It's squishy, gets destroyed easily, its mobility doesn't save. The moment the enemy is close to you, as a Gabriel, it's really hard to get away and still nuke them. So I would say low for versatility, so 1 point for versatility, 4 points for skill ceiling, so that's 5, and 3, so that's 8 total, yeah. Ending up here in the B rank. Doomlight has, I would say, medium. I will place it here for now. Medium mobility, because yes, it can hover upwards. It can get into most positions basically, but it walks so slowly, and it doesn't have a dash. So it can basically, instead of jumping, it hovers upwards and it can drop itself. So that's cool, definitely useful, but it doesn't dash horizontally, not really diagonally, and its move speed is just so low. So I would say medium, just because it can fly upwards. So that's 2 points for mobility. Skill ceiling, I would say medium, because those shots do a lot of damage, especially combined with the turrets. And if you manage to place your shields at the right times, at the right locations, shield while flying and falling, use cover, it's also very tanky. So skill ceiling, I think I would say high. So medium, high. And versatility does work at all ranges. It is most strongest in medium, in medium range, I would say. Like, it's a good poker. It's also a pretty decent brawler with the shield. Long range, it also works really well. It can poke quite well. Yeah, I think the versatility is pretty high. It's just not the strongest on all ranges. That's why I wouldn't say it has an amazing versatility. So that gives it high versatility, high skill ceiling, so that's 6 points, and medium, so that's 8 points total, right next to Gabriel. Yep. Moving on to Firestar. I'm expecting it up there because Firestar is a menace. Mobility, amazing. Can dash in all directions with tremendous speed. And if you hit your target with your dash, you even do damage. The longer you press the button, the more damage you do. I mean, that's all very amazing. That's already more than any of these do, except for Hotsteel. And maybe Arthur, Caramel, but yeah. Caramel gets into place more easily. I think, yes, it's also true, Caramel does get into place with a lot of ease, but Firestar also does take some practice to get on top of roofs without falling off or jumping over, but definitely an amazing mobility. Skill ceiling, amazing. If you hit all your shots and manage to alternate the secondary weapon in close range with the primary to just even up your DPS potential even further in brawling range. Amazing skill ceiling, getting in, getting out when you need to. It has the hit and run. I think Firestar really embraces the hit and run like more than any of these. Arthur also, of course, but Firestar is just so powerful. Versatility, yeah, it works on all ranges. Those big blasts of fire are fast. They're faster than caramels, and so the range, they don't really fall off. You can just blast them all across your vision, basically, all to the horizon. So I would say force all over all over. So there's 12 points for Firestar. Let's go. Amazing mecha. Hurricane, there's not much to say there. Also 4 all over the place. So amazing mobility, amazing skill ceiling, amazing versatility. This mecha works on all ranges. It works in all terrains. So it's not only ranges but also terrains. Whether there's hills, whether there's open skies, whether there's buildings to land on or behind to hide and recover. There's a big shield. So it really, if you love the hit and run kind of tactic, Hurricane can hide anywhere. It can dash in all directions. Of course, similar to Andromeda, you do need to be careful with your fuel management, but Hurricane does start off with a lot of fuel already. And like 2 patches ago, it got buffed even to have a little bit more fuel and less fuel consumption with your dashes. So I think Hurricane has always been like S rank already, and now they only made it a little bit stronger by making it easier to use. Skill ceiling is through the roof because it's not just the map and the surroundings that are your playing field. Similar to Andromeda, it's like the sky itself is your playing field. And if you manage to keep moving while shooting and utilizing your homing missile secondary weapon while dropping behind cover, yeah, it's difficult to pull it all off perfectly, you know. But when you do the skill ceiling, I think of all the mecha here, I'm guessing the skill ceiling of Hurricane is one of the highest. Yeah, I would say Andromeda and Hurricane are really top there. So 12 points for Hurricane. Raven, I'm expecting it here, maybe S, let's see. It has pretty good mobility. I think it's better than Gabriel's because Raven can utilize the momentum leap, similar to what Hotsteel and Arthur can do, but Raven can just shoot the grappling hook and yeet itself over there. So, and then have some extra speed with the right mods as well afterwards. And then also while jumping, jump is pretty good, but while jumping, which doesn't require so much fuel, you also can hover by holding the jump button basically. But you can also let it go. So you can really play with your momentum there of shooting and release and confusing the enemy. So I think its mobility is high. Is it amazing? It could get anywhere. Similar to a Hotsteel. No, I think actually its mobility is amazing. So 4 points for mobility. Skill ceiling, yeah, if you hit all your shots, you will obliterate anyone. I've played Raven quite a bit. It's in my top 10 of most played mecha. And if I play Raven, I do have to warm up a little bit. I have to get used to the aim and such. But those single shots do a lot of damage and have quite a decent amount of splash damage. So your aim doesn't have to be perfect. I would say skill ceiling is amazing. Versatility. So of all the sniping mecha, this is the most versatile one, I would say, because it works in all ranges. It literally can outbrawl an Arthur or a Firestar in close range. I've done it before and I will do it again. So actually, Raven, for me, gets 4 points all across. So Raven will be there in the S rank. What an amazing mecha. Moving on to Trio. Trio has a similar mobility to Skylark. I think it's like a blend between Firefox and Skylark, where it is really good like on the ground, very good, fast, horizontal moving mobility. Nice thing of Trio is that it still is blasting, nuking all of its arsenal while moving super fast. Its jumping is pretty good, it doesn't require too much fuel, but it doesn't have vertical mobility, so I would say medium. Skill ceiling, if you manage to swap to the right weapons for the right occasions, you can just obliterate any target. Rockets for far away, machine gun for medium range or close range, shotgun for close range, And then when you reload, then you have, I think, core 2. Then you also blast some rockets. And then when you dash, you also unleash all of your weapons. So whatever you do, you're dealing damage. So if your aim is good and you combine it well with your mobility, I think the skill ceiling of Trio is really high. Would I say amazing? I would. Because it has so many options. That also ties in with its versatility. Trio is strong across all ranges, all surfaces, all environments. Just depends on how good you are. So I would say skill ceiling is 4, versatility is 4, but only its mobility is 2. So yeah, that's 8 plus 2 is 10. Again, in the A rank here, similar to Skylark and Firefox. Neutron Star I'm always ranking S, but I'm curious if I will still be able to do that with these categories. Let's see, mobility. I'm going for amazing because it's so fast. Sure, Neutron Star has the same thing like Firefox, Firefox 2, Skylark and Trio, where it kind of lacks the vertical mobility. However, that's not fully true because you do lock on targets if they're close enough, and then with your secondary you kind of fly up towards them. So you don't need to be able to fly if you can just dash towards them using your secondary, and you can basically spam your secondary and then you stick with them in the air. And if they fall away, you just drop yourself and keep following after if you manage your fuel correctly. And then on top of that, you can also equip Core 2, which literally allows you to fly at a faster speed than Andromeda, almost as fast as Hurricane. So I think Neutron Star has an amazing mobility. Skill ceiling, I would also say amazing because it is kind of like an assassin. Mecha, it is a brawler with a big shield, but it plays more like an assassin more than any of these others. Maybe Hurricane also comes close to the assassin kind of role. Neutron Star, I think you have like 3000 durability including the shield. So that's pretty beefy, similar to Arthur. But you have a bigger shield, so you really benefit from going in and out. Very good hit and run assault mecha. The better the player, the better Neutron Star gets. Absolutely. Let's see here. Versatility, Neutron Star starts falling off a little bit because it's mostly close range, and in medium range it can work if you have the right mods equipped. So I would say its versatility is medium actually. So because on the long range it really does nothing, you really have to get close. One other thing though with the versatility is, does Neutron Star work everywhere? Not really. I think Neutron Star is the strongest with lower surfaces, so hills and lower buildings. The higher the buildings in the environment, Neutron Star starts falling off because Mecha like Caramel and Andromeda or even Hotsteel can just poke from afar, and the Neutron Star cannot do anything about it. If you don't have jump pads, you're kind of like a sitting duck and you have to wait it out. So having said that, I think Neutron Star gets medium for versatility, but twice amazing. So amazing for mobility skill ceiling, so that gives actually Neutron Star 10 points in total. Just because of the categories that I'm using here. Of course you can play around the versatility, but you know, like I said before, it goes for all the mecha. In the right hand, every mecha can obliterate and outplay any other mecha. It just depends on your playstyle. But I'm just trying to compare them based on these categories to kind of objectify my subjective perspectives. Moving on to Boltus. Boltus has, I would say, a high mobility. has a high skill ceiling and high versatility. Yeah, just 3s all over the board. Nothing outstanding, but definitely nothing medium. There's 3 out all over the board, places it here. It works on all ranges, but it kind of gets weaker in a brawling range. Although you can also dash through your opponent and leave some extra marks there. If your aim is good, then yeah, it gets better and better. You can nuke people, but if I compare it with other mecha, they all can nuke. I think Boltus can maybe nuke a little bit faster, but can it really nuke faster than Trio? I doubt it actually. If you hit anything, or Firefox even, or Hurricane, those are like the DPS monsters. Neutron Star as well if you're close range. Boltus does work really well on the long range, can function really well as a supportive sniper. Burst down the enemy close range if you manage to use all your cooldowns in one go. Yeah, that actually makes the skill ceiling higher, but the end result is the same. So then it has high mobility, amazing skill ceiling, and high versatility. So still 10 points then. I think Boltus is at a good spot there in the A rank. I'm expecting Ventorus also here, or even higher. I think Ventorus has high mobility, because you can use your dragon mode to get anywhere basically, but you do have to activate that, and then it goes into long cooldown. Skill ceiling of Ventorus I think is very high, amazing I would say, because if you know when to use your long range normal primary attacks, if you know when to use your secondary charge or just release it as you go, when to swap to your dragon mode for close range bursting or for mobility. I think the skill ceiling is amazing. Versatility, I think Ventorus works on all ranges, and it excels in medium to close range, similar to Neutron Star, but it can also function really well as a poking mecha on the long range. In the normal mode, with its primary weapons, it has a lot of options. So I would say it has amazing versatility. All the buffs over the past few seasons have definitely helped it out, because it really needed that, and now I think it's actually all the way up there. The only thing against it is that it has a pretty big frame. Compared to most mecha, it has a frame that's almost similar in size to Hotsteel's, but it has some less durability. I think it has like 3300, maybe 3400. It's pretty beefy. Definitely one of the beefier mecha out there. But it's very mobile also. You can also utilize the momentum leap. So mobility, high, skill ceiling and versatility, amazing. Gives it 11 points. Yep, right there. Moving on to Aurora, I'm expecting it here. Mobility, amazing. Can get anywhere. Its dash is pretty fast in all directions. After the dash you can still do a little momentum jump. Gives you extra height, and then after that you can still, or before that, you can still charge your secondary weapon just to hover in the air, granting you more vision. You can then cancel your secondary to just drop or continue dashing with your flight. Your flight utilizes a different fuel system than your jumping, so you can really balance it out quite nicely. Aurora is also one of my favorite mecha. Still my first most played mecha in the game. I got it at level 42 or 3 I think. Very cool mecha. Mobility amazing. Skill ceiling I would also say amazing if you manage to hit. Skill ceiling, let me think here. It shoots pretty fast and accurate. You do have to know when to use your secondary and when not to use. So if you optimize that, I would say Aurora has an amazing skill ceiling. It's a little bit more squishy than most other mecha. It's not, and if you look at the versatility, it works in all environments because same like Hurricane and Andromeda, the sky is also your playing ground. You can hide anywhere, but you do have to utilize your flight optimally because if you don't, you get taken down quite quickly. You can be burst down quite quickly if you're not careful. But its versatility, it works on all ranges. It excels in medium to long range, but it can definitely also brawl with an Arthur or a Firestar or Ventorus. Ventorus is a little bit more difficult if it moves well. So that actually gives Aurora amazing mobility. Yeah, just a near perfect score there. Doesn't surprise me actually because it's a very versatile mecha. High skill ceiling, high mobility, yeah. On these categories, high damage also. It just requires some practice. It's a specific playstyle, it does need to fit you and you do need to build your mecha accordingly. If you focus on the primary weapon, you can make it work, but then you have to have real good aim. With the second, I'm focused around the secondary weapon, all the mods and abilities and everything. And of course the hovering attack from Yutong really helps out with increasing your burst potential. Yeah, I love this mecha. Alborada, I am expecting here, has, I would say, low mobility. Because it only has this one horizontal jump. It's a pretty big distance, but it only goes horizontally. Basically in the same category as Firefox and Skylark, but Skylark is fast at least. Firefox gets more tanky. Sure, Alborada, when you dash, you do pump your next primary attack, if I remember correctly. So there's still something there. It increases your damage when you dash. So in that sense it's similar, so medium mobility. Skill ceiling, I would say medium actually. Well, if you aim as well, Alborada can really melt people while constantly giving itself and allies shields. And at the same time, if you have, I don't remember if it's core 1 or 2, you can also detonate the orb for even more damage. So Alborada sneakily does actually a lot of damage. So I would say skill ceiling C, skill ceiling 3 I mean. And versatility, it works mostly medium and long range. Close range, it's pretty beefy. So versatility I would say high. So that gives a skill ceiling high, so that's 6 points, and medium, that's 8 points, so that places it a little bit lower. Still pretty good though. And then moving on to my current favorite mecha, I'm expecting it to be here because I think Michael has amazing mobility. It can dash in all directions and then has an opposite dash that you can just either use to get further your direction or go in a totally different direction. You can change it on the spot, which can totally play with the expectations of your enemies. It also deals damage, the secondary one. Then the secondary weapon nukes people in close range. And on medium and long range, you can just blast those daggers and keep killing everyone everywhere while constantly moving, dashing in the air. The sky is your battlefield, your play field. You can get anywhere on all buildings. Any terrain works for Michael. You can hide anywhere. It's a silent mecha. It gets amazing mobility, amazing skill ceiling. The better the player, the better this mecha gets. Amazing versatility. This mecha is top tier. It's my second most played mecha currently, level 40 or 41. For me, there's no other mecha that comes close to the skill potential of this one. There's no other mecha that can do what Michael does with its mobility and its damage output. Beautiful mecha. So well designed. I love it. Even the latest like minor nerf on its secondary burst, I don't really notice it. It's still, this doesn't get more top tier than Michael, if you ask me. I would place it S plus if I could, but I'm using this category system and actually scores just as high as Hurricane and Andromeda and Firestar, which, I mean, those are also top tier mecha. I just love Michael so much. Moving on to Northern Knight. Northern Knight I'm expecting here, but let's see. It has received some buffs lately, which I'm really welcoming because it was really lacking a bit of damage to compensate for its sluggishness, I would say. But I've been playing quite some Northern Knight the past few weeks for its new skin, just playing around with it, and its pilot came out, so I've been playing around with Northern Knight, and it's pretty strong actually. Stronger than I gave it credit for before. Let's look at these categories. It has similar, actually a very similar mobility to Boltus. They have a similar kind of snake kind of dash. In all directions, you can change direction mid-dash. Skill ceiling of Northern Knight, I would say it's high actually, because if you know when to use the shield, you shouldn't just pop the shield the moment you encounter an enemy. You should use it only when you're actually taking damage, because very often if you move well and you jump around and you dash around and while dropping you shoot the enemy and they don't manage to hit you, you shouldn't actually be using the shield at all, because when you use the shield you get slower, your attack rate gets slower. I think also your short attack range gets a little bit shorter. Of course you have this humongous shield, but if you don't need it, don't use it. But when you need it, it comes in real handy, and only use it when the enemy is in front of you, when you actually can aim towards it. So I think a lot of skill for timing comes there, which gives it skill ceiling. It makes a big difference if you're a good Northern Knight player or not. Skill ceiling, I would say high. Definitely not amazing compared to what we see up here. It hurts me to see Northern Knight on the same level as Neutron Star though. That doesn't feel right. So let's see. Versatility, there we go. Versatility of Northern Knight I think is pretty low, because it doesn't work well on a long range. Medium range it's alright. It mostly shines in the short range. So I would say low versatility, so 1 point for versatility, but high skill ceiling and high mobility, which gives it 7 points. 7 points here, that makes more sense with the other kind of, these all are kind of support mecha. Support sniper, support tank slash information giver, sustain support, makes sense. Moving on to Ranger, expecting it here. Ranger has an amazing mobility, especially if you find core 2, I think it is, where you get the double dash. You can get anywhere like Firestar can. The double dash is not the same as Michael's because you cannot change direction. You can change direction slightly, not 100%. You can do like a 180 like Michael can, but you can get to more places and you can hit the enemies with your dashes for some damage. Those explosive, it basically, Ranger basically functions as if you put a couple of Hydra missiles on a car and just blast them. It works really well. Core 1 is also amazing actually, where the secondary weapon tracks the enemy. Skill ceiling, yeah, I think similar to Firestar, if you embrace the hit and run kind of tactic, and know when to retreat, know when to engage, it does really add up. And it's really fast in its car mode. The only downside of the car mode is that you cannot attack while doing so, but similar to Firestar, you can get into certain sneaky places where most other mecha cannot because of the lower frame. So that gives it skill ceiling, makes it even higher. It has pretty good splash radius, I would say the skill ceiling of Ranger is amazing. Its mobility is... Let me think here. I would say its mobility is similar to Firestar, but I would give Firestar a little bit... Because Firestar shoots faster, has a cooldown on its mobility. Ranger doesn't have a cooldown. Firestar is a bit more tanky. But Ranger cannot sit still. Firestar can sit still in his ball mode. Ranger needs to keep moving. And also when you're running, you have this little like sliding effect. The moment you stop running, this actually hurts its mobility. So I would say mobility is high, skill ceiling is amazing, versatility is high because it excels in medium range. It's really good in close range. On long range, their accuracy falls off a little bit of those rockets. In the secondary, it gets harder to hit. So I would say it doesn't work in all places. I do think it excels near hills. So not necessarily near buildings, but near hills, where you can drive through the hills more quickly. So that gives it 3 points for versatility, 4 for skill ceiling, and 3, so that gives it 10 in total. Yeah, perfect, there we go. Flamenco I'm also expecting here. Mobility is similar to Where Are You Caramel, actually the same, with a stronger blast attack from the sword. So that gives it a... And you can use the secondary weapon, by the way. It's a little dash, similar to Neutron Star and Arthur. So I would say amazing mobility, skill ceiling, really good. If you have good aim and manage to hit all your secondaries, you can just obliterate the enemy. But you have to get relatively close. So medium and close range, this is strong mecha. On long range, it's pretty shit, but you can still hit the enemies with your secondary weapon, and especially if you have the core that gives you another one. So I would say skill ceiling. Of course, all mecha get better the better the player, but I would say amazing mobility, high skill ceiling, and medium versatility. So for versatility it gets 2 points, 3 for skill ceiling is 5, and 4 for mobility makes it 9. So that places it here in the A rank. I think that makes perfect sense. Moving on to Pulsar, I will place it here because I'm expecting it to be all 4s across the board, because Pulsar I think has amazing mobility, amazing skill ceiling, and amazing versatility. Yes, it works in all ranges. You can snipe people in close range, medium range, and long range. If you have good aim, the better your aim, the better this mecha becomes. It's squishy, but it's fast. Yeah, thank you. So you can hover while shooting, can fall while shooting, can dash, and then the moment you start shooting, it stops dashing. That's a little bit different than Neutron Star, because Neutron Star keeps dashing while you shoot, which in general I think is a benefit. Makes Neutron Star's mobility a little bit better, but Pulsar I think is just so strong in engaging and disengaging, and it works across every battlefield. Again, same like what I said with Hurricane and Andromeda, Aurora, Michael. The sky is your battlefield, which makes it harder for enemies to hit you. Yeah, Pulsar is one of my up-running new favorite mecha. Its climbing just reached the top 10, I think. Really cool mecha to play around and fun to pilot, but very difficult. It really requires quite some practice. I think I got pretty decent with it when I reached level 30 with it. Now I got level 34, something, 35. Something like that. I still don't consider myself a good Pulsar player. The good matches are really like through the roof. And of course, yeah, if you don't play well, you just get obliterated with your tiny frame. It's not beefy at all, but definitely up there with its skill ceiling, versatility and mobility. Moving on to Snow Mirage, I'm expecting it here, similar to Gabriel. I've been chatting with someone online that said that Snow Mirage is basically like the higher damaging but lesser mobility version of Pulsar, and I can see that, definitely. And that this person also taught me to try to apply the same kind of tactic of blasting, then transforming to snipe, then blasting back, to have like that kind of rhythm going, and that definitely increases the kill potential of Snow Mirage. Snow Mirage has a better range, but definitely a weaker mobility and a weaker close range combat, unless of course you can do the scope, no scope real well, similar to Gabriel. It's really difficult to pull off, but there's people definitely that can do that. Skill ceiling, therefore, I would say amazing. Same like Gabriel. Amazing skill ceiling, but mobility I would say high, so that's 7 points. Because you can hover, similar to Doomlight, a little bit faster, but then you also have a dash. So it's pretty high mobility. Dash that's similar to Firefox. Basically blending their mobility together, but then with the sniping capability of Gabriel. But then the close range, it's just not good. The mine is not that great. The pistols don't do so much anymore. So that hurts its versatility. Although it does have options. I do think it works in all terrains. So versatility, I would say medium. So medium for versatility. High mobility gives it 5 points, plus 4 is 9. So actually, that places Snow Mirage higher because of its skill ceiling and versatility. No, it's mobility. Versatility is medium, but its mobility and skill ceiling bring it up there. JOJO, I'm expecting there. It has high mobility. Actually amazing mobility because it can fly. It cannot shoot while flying though, but it can get anywhere. Makes a lot of sound, so it's pretty out there. But then when it drops, it leaves those exploding bots nowadays. And basically whatever you do, you leave explosions everywhere. You have a humongous shield, so if you love the hit and run kind of tactic, it doesn't have that tag, but it can definitely be played as a hit and run kind of mecha. With a big shield, deals a lot of damage in a short amount of time, can just obliterate pilots by using the right combinations, can obliterate mecha. Works, I think, in most terrains, in most ranges. On the long range it falls off a little bit, so I would say versatility is high. Skill ceiling, yeah, if you know when to come in and out, when to move in, when to shoot, when to disengage. Amazing skill ceiling, amazing mobility because you can get anywhere. So that gives it 11 points total, placing it here. Skyfall, I don't know, I'm expecting it either in A or B. Let's take a look here. Mobility is low. Skyfall is slow. It has a dash that's similar to Firefox, but it jumps very low. At least with Firefox you can still, by modding it correctly, increase the jumping and the dashing distance. With Skyfall, I don't think you can actually. So it has a low mobility. Skill ceiling is high, I would say. If you manage to use the homing on multiple targets or focus them down on one target, use the homing as scanning the area. It's very useful for information. Of course, good aim helps, leading the target helps. It's a really good poker, long range. Medium range, close range, it also works. It's just not the best brawler, but it definitely works. You have to be careful though, and dash around correctly and jump around. So I would say versatility medium, Mobility low, so that's not that great, so that's 3 points so far. Skill ceiling high, so it brings it to 6 points, barely in the B rank there. Yeah, it's an amazing mecha, it's really cool, but I think... Yeah, no, it actually, I mean, it's still B rank, huh? It's still not bad. It's still just below the rest is basically what it means. There's just stronger options, I would say. But it's a very fun mecha. I definitely miss it sometimes because I played this one a lot when it just came out, and then other stuff came around and I started playing other older mecha and kind of lost sight of Skyfall, but I do still really enjoy this one. And actually also don't think that these mecha need any work. They're just more limited kind of playstyles. Place them here, I would say. But if that playstyle fits you, go for it, you know? They're still very fun. Moving on to Akashic, and I'm expecting Akashic A or B. Let's see here. There's a very long distance dash that if you hit the enemy, it also stuns them, and then you can follow up with some nukage, real big burst damage. The jump, you can jump on buildings. There's a relatively short cooldown. I would say it has high mobility. Skill ceiling, I would also say high, because if you manage to hit... Actually no, I would say skill ceiling is amazing, because if you manage to hit all your dashes, if you manage to defend with your shield against all the burst damage of the enemy, then retaliate and hitting that, and then in the meantime also shooting your bullets and hitting everything, you can just obliterate any target. If you use your cooldowns correctly and your aim is flawless, Akashic is incredible. I think Akashic of all of these burst mecha has the highest burst potential, but it's not necessarily the most reliable. But I would say skill ceiling is amazing. And its versatility is high because it's mostly strong in medium and close range. It has also a good gap closer and running away method, of course, with the secondary, but then you're not using it for damage and stunning. So that's a trade-off. So what do we have here? Versatility is 3 points, skill ceiling makes it 7, and mobility, I also said high, so that's 10 points, yeah, right there in the A rank. I think Akashic has a good spot there, well deserved. They did quite some tweaking over the past few seasons, and I think it ended up quite nicely. But it does require quite some practice. I do have to say that. Yeah, if you want to main Akashic, put some hours in there, watch some people play, and try to really... So the thing with Akashic is, the better you know the capabilities of the mecha that you're facing, the stronger Akashic gets if you manage to use that against that with that shield and retaliating that shield into damage towards them. Tempest I'm also expecting here. Let's see, Tempest it's very fast. It's a fast mecha, it can run and jump quite a bit. Its dash is relatively short, but does quite some damage, like 600 or something, if you dash through the enemy. I would say it has similar mobility to Akashic. You can dash in all directions, just Akashic's is a longer distance, but I think Tempest dashing has a shorter cooldown, plus you're running faster, but Akashic is a bit more beefy and has a shield. There's quite some similarities between these two. I do think Tempest is better in getting away and in and out of action when needed. So the skill ceiling of Tempest I would also place under amazing. Its mobility I would place under high, mainly because of its speed and fuel consumption for jumping, which is really low. Versatility I would actually place as medium, because with the secondaries, and I've built Tempest all around the secondaries, dealing more damage and regaining those shuriken, or they're not called shuriken, but you know what I mean. More quickly after emptying a clip, you get one again, and you can just basically alternate primary, secondary to nuke down the enemy. But the primaries have a very limited range. even in medium range, sometimes it's already hard to finish to hit them. So I would say versatility medium, but the secondary basically is kind of your primary weapon in that build. Still, let's say amazing. No, high mobility, amazing skill ceiling, so that gives 7, and medium versatility is 9. Yeah, places it right here in this bracket for 9 and 10. Very solid mecha, very fun to play. Moon Rabbit, I'm expecting actually higher because it can fly. In the past I didn't play it enough to rank it accordingly, but now that I played it a bit more, it is a very versatile mecha, and versatility absolutely amazing, because you change your entire kit when you transform into Fly Me to the Moon mode. You're shooting faster, longer range, not so strong though, but if you manage to hit that secondary, you do actually still do quite some damage there. But this mecha I think shines in just dropping down next to the enemy, dashing towards them, and just really throw all your grenades, all your carrot grenades, and just obliterate the enemy with your secondary and your primary. It does so much damage on close range. So because of the flying and the medium to long range capabilities in the flight mode, I think this is a very versatile mecha, and because of all the different buttons and all the different attack types you have and mobility types you have, the skill ceiling actually makes it amazing. Its mobility is also up there, but the secondary, so the primary weapon in the flight mode really doesn't do so much damage. So that gives it some limitations. And in the normal mode, it can mostly just run over the floor, but it's also very small. So what the benefit that Ranger and Firestar have, Moon Rabbit also has, but always basically, because it's so small, it's harder to hit, but also it can reach places where other mecha just cannot go. So that does lead me to give it a versatility 4 points, skill ceiling 4 points, so that's 8 already, and mobility, I would say, yeah, like high. No, it can fly, it's also amazing. Moon Rabbit just belongs here. It's an amazing mecha. I don't know why I'm trying to put it lower. It definitely fits the bracket of it can fly, it is very versatile, it has high skill ceiling. The better the player, the better this mecha gets. Yes, it has its limitations, but it also has ways to compensate for those limitations. So, amazing mecha. Guerilla Hunter, I don't know, B or A, let's see here. Its mobility is its weak part, I would say. Of course, it can teleport towards its location, but towards the decoy, I think it's called. But the decoy is so slow, they still didn't improve that running speed of it. And it's the enemy sees where it's going, so it's kind of hard to outplay your opponent. Although nowadays with Core 2, if a Guerilla Hunter has Core 2, it can teleport back and forth, kind of like Zed and League of Legends, and that definitely helps it out quite a bit. But I wish that was not Core 2, but that was just like integrated in the mecha, that you can teleport back and forth. Then it would be amazing. But now it has a medium jump. Its running speed is alright, medium I would say, but its teleportation is really not great. So I would say medium mobility. Skill ceiling, well, it does a tremendous amount of damage. Guerilla Hunter is one of those mecha that on medium range and close range with the shotgun and the assault rifle and the secondary, crossbolt crossbow, does a lot of damage, and it also gives some information with the secondary. So if you manage to teleport on the right moments, outplay your opponents and hit all your shots, I think the skill ceiling of this mecha is actually amazing. Versatility, it falls off in the very long ranges, more than most other mechas. So, and it also works better in places where you can hide, so flat fields. Hills is not necessarily the best place for it. Oh no, hills is actually pretty good. Tall buildings is where it's not good. Lower surface buildings is actually pretty good. So versatility, I would say high. Skill ceiling amazing, so that makes 7 points, and mobility medium, so 9 points. Okay, right there. There we go. Then Dreadwolf is one of my up-running new favorite mecha. I really love this mecha. Let's start off with saying that it has amazing mobility. It can just kangaroo jump all over the place. I did build it all around the fuel recovery and consumption to lower that, because it does take quite some fuel consumption. You do need to manage it quite well. Its skill ceiling, I would also say, is amazing, because if your aim is good, you just obliterate people. Sure, it only works in medium to close range. In long range, it basically does nothing. But you have so many ways of getting closer. Versatility, I would say it works in all terrains, but like I said, long range just falls off. So versatility is high, but skill ceiling and mobility are amazing. Gives it 11 points, placing it right here. I do have to take a look again at Neutron Star, because Neutron Star, for me, plays quite similarly to Dreadwolf, where it has amazing mobility, amazing skill ceiling, and high versatility. So I don't know. I think I scored it as medium versatility, but I do think Neutron Star belongs here in the top rank. So as you can see, there's a lot of S ranks there. There's a lot of very good mecha. Moving on to Knell, the latest edition, and this mecha is a lot of fun. It plays a lot like Yone from League of Legends, where you basically leave a shadow. Basically you send your shadow forward and leave a beacon behind, and then can just have increased speed, attack rate, everything. You can just burst people down, nuke them down, and then teleport back. Or when your shadow basically gets destroyed, although this is not your shadow, you get forced back into your beacon position. And if you don't place your beacon well, that can really hurt you. So if the enemy, whenever I come across a Knell, I actually don't have much trouble taking them down, because I try to first finish the beacon off and then take down the weakened state of the Knell. But if you manage to place the beacon in a safe spot basically, and basically play this more as an assassin, then you can just, because it's super mode, let's say, it's definitely like an improved Skylark, where you're faster, you have like incredible mobility with that secondary weapon. And you do so much damage. And I think with Core 2 or something, you can just obliterate people while you hit them once with your primary, and then you just smack them once with your scythe, and you deal like 3000 damage or something. It's crazy with that execution thingy. So let's see here. Mobility, I think, is amazing, because you can get in all places. You can also combine the little dash you get from leaving a beacon plus your secondary can already be used to dash in all directions. I think, amazing mobility. Skill ceiling makes it pretty good. The thing is, it's a new mecha, so I haven't played around with it enough to know if the skill ceiling is high or amazing. I just noticed that whenever I play against the Knell, I take them down quite easily. But that doesn't necessarily say anything about the skill ceiling. Maybe that I just know its weaknesses and know how to exploit it. I would say for now the skill ceiling is high, and the versatility is also high, because you do preferably, you want to be in the close to medium range, and preferably even only close range. Although the poking is pretty alright. So that gives it 6 plus amazing mobility is 10, places it right here, perfect in the A rank there. I think this is, this looks pretty good. I don't have any complaints. Actually, also not really surprises here for me. So yeah, if you enjoy this kind of content, just let me know. Leave a like and subscribe and all the good stuff. And leave a comment if you think differently about certain things or if you agree. Feel free to comment as well. As always, I hope you all learned something from this. I definitely did. And I will wish you a beautiful day and peace.